Hey y'all,
What's going on, everyone?
I'm Jay,
And I'm Chris the Bird Nerd,
and we
and
are
we are
the
the
Bird
Bird
Brains.
Brains. Einstein's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he is. I
Pretty-
was just telling you off camera, he is, I don't know why, but particularly sprightly today. He's got a little energy boost going on.
he's feeling that spring fever, man, just like
Yeah,
the
I
rest of your
guess.
birds.
I don't know. I was out of town last week too, which I started a new job. That's why we didn't have an episode last week. And it's just been kind of crazy. So maybe he's happy, combination of that and happy to see me again and
For sure.
all that. So who knows?
Yeah,
But warning
I've been
now, he might disrupt the episode.
I've been traveling these last few days. You can see I'm in a hotel room, and earlier today, my wife FaceTimed me, and she's like, "I think Candy misses you," and she put me up to her cage, and she starts going crazy and dancing her head up and down. I was like, "Yeah, I miss you too, girl. A few more days."
You've got to get you got to get Candy like her own iPad that had like that you could
I
FaceTime
know.
yourself.
I've
It's it,
I've been
it'd be hard to do.
yeah, I've been trying really hard to film her talking because she's got a huge vocabulary and she's getting pretty funny. But every time I put the phone up, she just silence. Like she knows that I'm trying to squeak some footage out of her, and she's like, "No, not today." But
Yeah, it took Einstein months to get used to the camera.
yeah,
He's like, "What's this black box?" I don't know if he thinks it's like something
uh
at a veterinary office or something, but it
huh.
took him forever. Um, okay, so today's episode gonna kind of be an interesting one. I'll claim credit for this idea. So I was looking back at our old playlist and just kind of what we've covered and what we've talked about, and we're well over a year into this podcast
Yeah.
series, and I thought it might be time to reintroduce ourselves and maybe this floofball too. Um,
When you think about it, Jay, we've got we're nearing close to 100 episodes, right? I mean, we're probably at least close to 80.
yeah, this is like
So
episode 78.
not too far off from 100. And when we first started this, like you were first venturing into the YouTube side of things. I was kind of first venturing in more to the Instagram side of things. So within just that year, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of new subscribers to our channels. And a lot of them may not have seen some of our old podcast videos, don't really know us super well, right? So I think kind of go along with what you're saying, Jay. I think it's a good opportunity. I'll let you keep going there, but thought that was cool. We've got a much bigger crowd from when we first started these podcasts to where we're at now. So
Yeah, and we didn't really know each other. Right now, we talk like every
yeah,
day, pretty much. But at that time,
yeah,
we were still like the first episode we did. We were like, I was like finding out stuff about you on camera.
yeah, uh-huh, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought that would be a fun one. So, there's a there's a Jay-Z song that starts like "Allow me to reintroduce myself." I'm not gonna try to try to rap, but I thought we'd reintroduce ourselves if y'all will allow it.
The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains.
So, I first before we get into that, Jay, maybe we could throw a quick shout out to our sponsor, New Zealand.
Yeah,
They've been an awesome company for us. I know you've got a few products there since I'm in a hotel and I don't have any here in front of me, but
I thought we did talk about some canary stuff, and I just realized two problems with this bag of seed. Neither of them germane to the purchaser, potentially. But Einstein is a pellet and fresh food bird. Seeds are a treat for him, and I've just shown what is essentially a irresponsible child a big bag of candy. So he is going to spend the entire podcast trying to get to the seed, which, you know, I can't think of a better review than a bird wanting to eat it on camera. So, um, this is one of the potential foods that you can get from New Zealand. This is particular brand is Hari, which is Hagen's brand. It's the Hagen Avicultural Research Institute. I don't know if the
Yeah,
camera can see well, but
yeah,
and this is primarily what we feed. We've also been trying the Volkman lately, which I
yeah,
do really like the Volkman. I have a
yeah.
high
It's been
opinion of
great.
that.
Uh-huh.
But this stuff is really good, and it's got a mix of a bunch of seeds, vegetables, and like nut mix that's in pellets, which again, I don't know if you'll be able to see on camera, but
Uh-huh.
really, really high quality seed. Um, this is the kind of stuff that professionals, zoos, me, Chris are feeding. So if you're still going to the grocery store and buying the seed in the little
Yeah,
plastic container, uh, this is, first of all, probably cheaper
yeah.
than the grocery store price, and
And
set,
better
yeah,
quality by far.
light years ahead. You know, this is the analogy I think I gave the first time I talked about seed in a video was you've got a bird that's like a Ferrari that you just bought. Do you go to the regular gas station and put regular gas in your Ferrari? No, you put the nice gas in your Ferrari.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that right there, Jay, that's the 2.5 pound bag, right?
it is, yeah, the 1 kilo because it's made in Canada. So that
Yeah.
gets you 2.2 pounds.
And
And it's great.
And if you guys go on to New Zealand, like Jay said, they've got both Volkman and Hagen birdseed products. Both are great. You've got, the 2 pound option that Jay's holding there. I think they've got a 5, a 10, and up to a 20-pound bag of both types of seeds that you can get. They've got a mixture. You can get canary seed, you can get finch seed, parakeet, cockatiel, larger parrots, hookbills, get into the pellets, things like that. So definitely quite a few options there on the New Zealand site. And again, Jay, if you use the code what?
Bird brains.
Birdbrains, you guys get 10% off. So please go in and use that, get a discount on it, cover your shipping, and get some good quality seed. And price is super competitive on the website. You probably are not going to find it any cheaper in any other stores, uh, especially these products and these brands. And so I think you've got a great price and a great opportunity there.
Yep, agree. Now I've got to hide this from my set. Um, shove it under the couch cushions.
There you go.
Um, but yeah. So, all right, let's introduce ourselves. You want to go first, Chris? Or you
Yeah,
want me
yeah.
to go first? Yeah.
I'll do it. And so my name's Chris. I know lots of times I go through by Bird Nerd. If you guys haven't seen my channel already, I've got several kids. So I'm a mid-aged man. Just kidding. No, 35 years old. Live in Utah. Got a beautiful family. Married. Got 4 children that I love. And as you guys know, I love birds, super into birds. I've been into birds my entire life. My dad had birds as I was growing up. He had a big aviary in the backyard, and I just fell in love with them and really have never looked back and have only had a very select few years of my entire life that I've never had birds or been around birds. And so love the animal. Definitely one of my favorite species to keep and to work with. I outside of the bird world, I do have a job. I do try to make something of my life. I work in the healthcare industry here in Utah, and as you can see, I'm traveling for work. Jay and I are pulling another late night, and before I got to get up early again to head out to work. So enjoy that, and been doing that for many years, and do a good job. My wife's in the healthcare industry as well, and so as a registered nurse, and yeah, do good. And kind of a quick high level view of who I am and where we've come from. So if any new subscribers, you guys watching this for the first time, or only a handful into the most recent podcast that we've posted, just wanted to kind of give you guys a little spiel and update of who I am, where I'm from, and why I love birds. So how about you, Jay?
Yeah, okay. So I'm the younger guy in the podcast. I'm 34. Um uh just like Chris, grew up with animals, maybe a little bit, and this isn't really fair because I know Chris has had other animals too. But quick shout out to my wonderful mother. She had a rule when I was a kid that if you had straight A's, you could have whatever you wanted. Um, don't know if I'll do that rule with my kids because I know what it leads to. So, animal lover. So I've kept and bred just about every legal animal you can have in the United States, short of like the Tiger King type big cats and things like that. And
Nice.
then some that the statute of limitations on has expired that were definitely illegal. All legal now, but like had a chipmunk and all kinds of stuff like that.
That's
So.
awesome.
Um, and I've just always loved animals and animal husbandry, keeping them, breeding them, conservation. Classic. Grew up in the '90s, and Steve Irwin was the guy, and
I love
still
him.
still is. Makes me
The
happy to be
legend.
holding an Australian bird while I say that. Um, but yeah, so married, live in Mobile, Alabama. Also have a day job as Einstein eats. And yeah, got a wonderful, wonderful wife who is extremely tolerant. Couldn't do any of this without her. And
Yeah.
then three young kids and about 100 birds and two Labrador retrievers. I do occasionally breed the labs as well. My two dogs are great grandmother and great granddaughter. So if anybody's looking for a good Labrador retriever in about a year or some change, hit me up. Um, but yeah, birds have always been. I mean, I've had everything. I hatched a shark out of an egg
Oh,
in a
that's
saltwater
awesome.
aquarium. I've had
Yeah.
moray eels. I've bred betta fish, turtles, almost every rodent. I mean, you name it, I've done it.
Hmm.
Cats, but um, I keep coming back to birds. I just always have, and um, really, I worked in an animal hospital in high school. That was kind of my first, I guess, like formal education in animal keeping. And then while I worked there, I found a drunk bird in my yard. I didn't know it was drunk at the time. Um, I found it like a down bird that was acting all weird and wonky. So I brought it in the animal hospital with me. And one of the vets explained that in the late spring, early summer, all these trees have dropped their berries, then they ferment, and the birds don't know that they're fermented and eat them and get drunk. And a small bird doesn't take much alcohol content and they're hammered, right? So um, built. My mom said, "You got straight A's, you can keep it." So built like a flight cage in my room. Unfortunately, that bird did not survive alcohol poisoning. So then for a while, I just had this empty flight cage, and it's, oh, what should I put in it? And the answer was finches. And that was over 20 years ago. And before that, I'd had cockatiels and other birds too. But the first birds that were really, really mine, yeah, it was like 20 some years ago. And um, yeah, here we are. So I guess let's do that next.
It's awesome.
Let's do your bird background, Chris.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had birds my whole life. So my dad, growing up, he had two big aviaries that he built in the backyard, and it was divided in half. So he had a huge colony of zebra finches that just always bred like crazy year round. And every once in a while, we'd have some canaries or some society finches and some finches mixed in there, but majority of it was zebra finches. We supplied our local pet stores that surrounded us every year with them because we just bred so many of them. And then in the other flight, he had a pretty good colony of budgier parakeets and lovebirds. And when I was really young, he had quite a few cockatiels that he bred. I think one of my first pictures in my baby book that my mom has for me, I think I'm like 2 years old and I've got a bird that looks just like Mikey sitting on top of my head, and I'm smiling from ear to ear. So probably about 12 years old is when I just kind of naturally inherited the aviary in the backyard because I was so drawn to them. I just naturally started taking care of them and feeding them and breeding them. And I had a pretty cool operation and setup. I was really successful with the lovebirds and the parakeets and breeding certain color types and really just having fun as a kid and enjoying them and was again selling them. And I had a few we had a few old school bird breeders in my neighborhood that had big aviaries as well, and we were mixing birds back and forth and whatnot. My dad, when I was 15 years old, 14, 15, my dad was a mailman, and one day he just randomly showed up with a conure at our house, and it was a red-throated conure. Pretty sure it was smuggled into the U.S. from Mexico, and the dude was meaner than crap and just did nothing but squawk and yell. But I loved it. I was like, that was my bird. I did was able to tame it down a little bit. Man, that thing was so noisy. So I had a red-throated conure for several years. They didn't know how old it was, but it looked like it was pretty high up there in age. And I had him till I was about 19, and then he ended up passing away. I think probably more due to age than anything else. But and then I kind of left the house for a few years and came back and decided to marry my wife before I told her I liked birds, just to make sure I could keep her. And it was probably about 2 months after we got married, I bought a little cage and put a pair of society finches in there, and then from there it just expounded to where we're at now, and still been able to keep my wife. She's been super supportive and loving of my bird addiction. But finches, I've always been drawn to the finches. Like you said, Jay, just always come back to the birds. I love animals. I've had tons of other animals, reptiles, aquatics, dogs, cats. I mean, you name it. We've had pretty much all of it in my household growing up. But I've always come back to the birds. There's something about them that I can't seem to get far enough away from them, and I love them. And so I think my secret job that I wanted growing up was to be a zookeeper, just because I wanted to be surrounded by the animals and be like a bird trainer. And then as an adult, I realized that you don't make much money, and if I wanted to support my family and have somewhat of a lifestyle in this expensive economy, zookeeper probably wasn't my best option. So, but that still is one of my dreams. Like if I struck the lottery, I'd quit my job and probably become a zookeeper, much to my wife's dismay, and just enjoy the rest of my days surrounded by animals. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got into the birds, and a little bit of my background with what birds I had growing up and what's kind of led me to this point. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's some real similarities there, and it's funny to hear you tell that stuff. I didn't know about that red-throated conure. That's a cool story.
yeah, his name was
Um,
Chipper.
my first cockatiel's name was Chips.
Oh, really? There you go,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So he was named after the TV show with Eric Estrada with
Oh,
Ponch and John,
nice.
the
Yeah.
the CHP, the motorcycle cops. I loved that
Hmm.
show as a kid, and he would whistle the theme song and watch it with me, and yeah. So yeah, similar to Chris. Well, not super similar. So I did not have an aviary growing up. Like my mom had just always had cockatiels, really in particular. So I got that into that at an early age, but we had not had finches until I got into them. But yeah, did it in at a certain point in high school. My whole essentially, I lived in a bird cage that just happened to have a bed that was my bedroom. To the point where like my 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 poor sister, her room was underneath mine, so like through the vent, like I got these quail at one point that would
Oh
crow in the
no.
morning, and she could hear it. It was
And I'm sure
just
they
brutal.
smelt awful in your
Uh,
room.
yeah, I was cleaning cages like every day. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Um, and um, went from there, and then even in college, I had a big aviary. Like I built a lofted bed, and underneath it was an aviary. Like I always had it, and then like you, took a brief break, got married. And then when I moved in with my wife, the first weekend, I mean, like I moved in on like, a Tuesday, and Saturday, comes along, or Friday comes along, and says, "Well, what do you want to do this weekend?" We live together. And I said, "Oh, I've already planned our weekend." What are we doing? Like, well, I've already reached out to this local bird breeder, and we're going to pick up. We lived in this tiny little 600 square foot apartment with you. You're the one who taught me this phrase. Had a one bum kitchen. Only
Yeah.
one, only one person
Yep.
could fit in there at a time. We had our two dogs, right? And it was like our bathroom was so small that if you were sitting on the commode, you could put your feet in the bathtub, right? And I said, "Oh, we're gonna go pick up a bird." So yeah, we went and got a cage, and Bandit, the budgie, who now lives with a friend of mine in Florida, but and um hung it on the wall, put Bandit in there, and off to the races we went. And then shortly thereafter, there was this pair of zebra finches that had been at this pet shop for a while, and I had to go get them because I knew about zebra finches and loved them. And then next thing you know, yeah, I've got about 100 birds, like 20 some species. Oh, and I did want to mention, I did study a bunch of avian biology in college. I got a minor in forestry and
Nice.
natural resources that's almost all either avian biology or poultry science. I did live in Costa Rica and do avian research. So there is
That's awesome.
some science in the background here. But yeah, and then so I had this big aviary, was not actually planning on making it public. I think, frankly, my wife was fairly embarrassed of it. Einstein's wanting
As
to be
was
put
mine.
down. Hang on. And I made my Instagram as like kind of a joke on my wife. I'm wiping the Einstein food remnants off of me. Um,
Yummy.
and was like, "Oh, you're embarrassed? Like, I'll make it public, you know?" And then my my brother, that first Christmas, this is like 4 or 5 years ago now, and I had other, indoor aviaries, but this was the first big outdoor aviary. And my brother gave me the Javiary sign as like a Christmas present and kind of a half joke. Like, I don't actually have that big of an ego to name it after myself. And for the record, I did not. But yeah, so and then the I remember like getting to 100 followers, and by that time, I think I was watching your YouTube videos,
Uh-huh.
and then I was actually on a bachelor party in New Orleans, and I had been drinking, and I had gained a few thousand followers at this point, and then I had a one post that just went nuts viral, and I checked my Instagram, my bird Instagram page, and all of a sudden my followers went to zero. And then it went to like 5,000 2 seconds later, and then it went back to
Jeez.
zero. It was just going nuts. And so I was like, man, something's wrong with my Instagram. Am I getting banned from Instagram or something? And then I Googled it, and there apparently, if you go viral and gain a bunch of followers, I think I gained like 5,000 in 72
Wow.
hours, something crazy
Holy
like that.
cow, man.
Um, Instagram will like kind of block them temporarily to make sure you're not buying like bot followers, and then give them back to you like in increments. And then from there, it just really took off. Started the YouTube, got in touch with you, and here we are podcasting. We have had, incredible guests. I think we've done, when we talked about doing this in the beginning, it's just there's not a lot of good information out there on how to keep
Yeah.
finches. Like, most of the websites are like really old, still have like those old like dancing gifs, and like
Uh-huh.
the people maintaining them are dead, and they're just out there in
Yeah.
perpetuity until the credit card
Yep.
gets turned off or whatever. And so I think there was a real need to do what we're doing. And we make a really big effort to try and get it right. I'm sure we don't always, but we make a big effort
Right.
to try and put the right information out there. And also, other thing I'll say is animal husbandry changes, right? I mean, if you like,
Right.
I've got this awesome old book about aquarium keeping, and it shows you like, yeah, you get ocean water from your local saltwater ocean of any kind, put it in the aquarium. No filters are mentioned in the book. You get these
Mm-hmm.
fish, you put them in. Here's what you feed them. When they die, you go get new fish.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh gosh. And we've come a long way since then. And birds are the same. You hear stories like your dad bringing home that bird that was smuggled, or
Yeah.
people smuggling them in hair curlers or like in their jackets, crazy stuff. and
Yep.
and not knowing how to breed them, not knowing how to take care of them, not knowing what to feed them. And to get to where we are now, there's been a lot more science, there's been a lot more thought, a lot more learning. And
Yeah.
so I'm proud of where we are now. Always looking for improvement, always looking for new ideas and better ways.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I mean, I think that's why we do this podcast, right? Is we want people to love birds like we do, enjoy birds like we do, but we also want them to be like have the tools to do it the
Yeah.
right way.
We want to be as educational as possible. Honestly, some of my favorite moments are um, when some of my closest family and friends, or even just people that I don't know, and they come over and they see my birds and they love what they see. It sparks their interest, and I've actually had quite a few family members and friends get into birds from either watching my videos or coming to my house and seeing the birds and setups that I have. And so uh, it it really is something that Jay and I truly love and enjoy, and we want you guys to be able to love and enjoy it as much as you can, and to be as educational as we possibly can as well. And yeah, granted, there's setups throughout the world that are way better than what Jay and I have, and we're always striving to be as good as we can and to improve and to give our birds the best environments as possible, and the best healthcare tips, etc. We're growing and evolving as we go throughout this journey. And I think the one of the best things, or one of the things that I enjoy the most, is the bird family that we've created, and all you guys that support us and watch us and are constantly asking questions and reaching out. And we're shipping birds across the entire United States, lower 50 states, to other bird lovers, and being able to share that with everyone. And that's one of the things that really drives me now, in the bird world, is trying to bring this information to you guys as much as we can, and in a way that's fun and entertaining, but also educational, and helping you guys give your birds the best environments possible. So I think it's awesome, and one of my main drivers right now. So as a bird keeper.
It's the lower 48 states. You said lower
Yes.
50.
Oh, did I say? Yeah,
Yeah,
you throw some territories in
it's
there.
late.
We'll count it.
It's late. It's late. No, yeah, that's the other thing. We are always recording these really late. We both have, between the two of us, 7 kids, full-time jobs, full-time
Yeah,
wives, full-time aviaries. So,
yeah,
we're always doing the best we can. Yeah, I mean, I think I think that's it. I mean, we love
yeah,
birds. We're here because we love birds, and we want to help everybody love birds. We've done tons of episodes about why you should have this bird, why you should have that bird, why birds in general are great, why finches in specific are
yeah,
fantastic. But obviously, we're not afraid of hookbills, the citizens either.
yeah.
Chris has a big macaw. I've got an eclectus. Like we are bird people through and through, for better or for worse.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, and
Love every minute of it.
I'll leave you with this little story here. So, I did recently let the cat out of the bag. I'm trying to move. One of the big reasons I'm trying to move for me is the new house we're trying to buy has a spot for a bigger aviary.
Yeah,
Um, but so we're showing our house. Haven't had a bite yet. Somebody buy my house. Um, but the we had a showing this past week, and the realtor, the note that they left said, "I've never seen an aviary house before, and now I think I want one."
nice.
And so, if the reaction that I get most of the time when somebody sees the aviary is, "Man, I want this," then that's what I'm trying to do,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep. 100%. I love that.
Mhm. All right,
So,
Chris. If they want to reach out and ask you a bird question, introduce themselves, whatever, where can they find you?
yeah, my two main platforms that I'm on most of the time is Instagram and YouTube. So comment on the videos that I make, or just reach out to me on Instagram. It's at BirdNerd4. PM me, and I can get back to you as quick as I can. So two best platforms, and usually I'm on there every day, if not every other day, and trying to look for messages and respond. So, how about you, Jay?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, obviously, and Instagram as well. Instagram DMs are a good place to find me. We're also both on Facebook. Those DMs
Yeah,
work well too. I do also have a Reddit and a TikTok that I do not check regularly, and Threads, which I never check because Threads sucks. But I'm on there, and it's all the Javiary or the underscore Javiary, some form of the other. Um, I get DMs every day asking me as simple as, "Hey, I have a zebra finch that isn't doing well," up to and including, "Hey, I'm trying to breed these paired finches. This is what I'm doing. What do you
yeah,
think?" Wherever you are, whatever level you're at, no question's a dumb question. Reach out. Happy to help. Happy to talk birds. Um,
The Birdbrains
sick,
Podcast with
healthy,
Chris and Jay.
anywhere in
The
between. Any
Birdbrains
questions you
Podcast with
got?
Chris and Jay. The
We're here.
Birdbrains
That's why we're
Podcast
doing
with
this.
Chris and Jay.
So
The
reach out to us
Birdbrains,
and go to New
The
Zealand. Use
Birdbrains
code BirdBrains,
Podcast with
get
Chris and
10%
Jay.
off.
The
yes,
Birdbrains
please.
Podcast with Chris and Jay.
All
The
right.
All right,
Birdbrains
Think
Podcast
that's
with
it.
Chris and Jay. The
Catch
thanks,
you all on the
guys.
Birdbrains.
next one.